Perfect, thanks guys. Hi everyone, welcome in. Thank you for having us here today. We feel really privileged to be here. We're here today to talk to you about the future of sports entertainment, giving you a quick look into what Sony is doing in the virtual realm to bring fans closer to the action. But first, introductions.
Hi everyone, I'm Nico Westerhoff. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Beyond Sports. Beyond Sports is a company focused on data visualization and alternative broadcasts and tracking data validation and enhancement. We recently got acquired into the Sony Sports businesses alongside Hawkeye and Pulse Live.
Hello everyone, I'm Hiroki Nagahama, Deputy Senior General Manager of Technology Infrastructure Center, Sony Group Corporation. That is one of our R&D group in the headquarters side, and CTO Kitano-san. I'm overseeing technology of what we call as Virtual Fan Engagement Project. You may have heard about the collaboration with the Manchester City Football Club in England, aiming for creating a new online community in the virtual world.
And I'm Sam Bourne. I'm a product manager at Hawkeye Innovations, a company you may know from NFL Instant Replay, optical tracking in NBA, MLB, and tennis, VAR in soccer, and much more. My role is focused on the execution and delivery of our SkeleTrack product and the virtual outputs that are generated based on the skeletal and ball tracking optical data that we collect.
So today we're here to talk to you about how Sony is approaching a new frontier, taking optical tracking to the virtual world of sports. Each of us is going to give you a quick walkthrough of what each individual company is doing. And then we'll also talk about how the connection between the companies fuels next generation experiences for current as well as future sports fans. We'll kick it off with Sam from Hawkeye.
Perfect. Thanks, Nico. So a quick introduction to Hawkeye for those who haven't come across us before. We're a global leader in sports technology space, providing officiating and broadcasting enhancement products to 23 of the top 25 sports leagues and federations in the world. The company was founded in 2001, bringing ball tracking technology to Channel 4's cricket coverage in the UK, and kind of enhancing the viewing experience for the viewers at home. Since then, we've adapted and improved our technology to first aid line calling in tennis in 2005, and then fully automate it in 2020. Most recently, at the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, we revolutionized the calling of offsides in soccer, using our optical-based tracking technology to automatically detect offside players and display the call in a way that is both clear and visually appealing to fans wherever they may be watching. So, the optical tracking technology which makes all of this possible is known as SkeleTrack. And combined with our powerful visualization tool known as HawkVision, it brings the world of sports into the virtual world. But how does that work? Hawkeye uses machine learning-based algorithms to extract key features from both broadcast cameras and our own machine vision cameras. These key features not only include the ball, but 29 different points on the human body. And by combining all the information from the multiple cameras positioned around the playing area, we can produce 3D coordinates for all of the 29 data points for every participant in the game, and of course, the ball. The data is captured at 60 times per second in real time, and that opens up a world of virtual entertainment and data analytics never before seen. HawkVision takes the raw 3D coordinates from SkeleTrack and attaches them to a 3D player model within the video game engine, generating virtual recreations of the game in under a second of latency. This opens up a world of possibilities for the viewer at home, enabling them to always have the best possible angle of the action available right in front of them. Let's take a look at it in action during a recent game at NBA's Summer League. So as you can see, we're tracking 29 points on every single player. It gives you an idea of the kind of points that we're looking at, but you've got 2 points on the foot, 1 point on the heel, 1 point on the ankle, knees, hips, mid-hip, shoulders, elbows, wrists, little finger, big finger, eyes, ears, and nose. Also including the ball. And we're also identifying each individual player based on their jersey number, including the kind of referees, And all of that data is combined into the 3D data that you're viewing overlaid on the video right here. And yeah, that's Skeletrack in a nutshell, but it gives you an idea of what the kind of data that we're working with. So the possibilities to build different products and features using Skeletrack is nearly endless. But Hawkeye's core business focuses on one in particular, and that's officiating. I've kind of mentioned the Qatar World Cup before, but let's take a look at an example from that World Cup. This was a game between the US and Iran in the group stages of the World Cup. And a close offside decision here. You can see that by transitioning into the virtual world, we give the viewer a much cleaner experience and cleaner view of the decision that's going to be made. And we contextualize that by including it alongside the video and including the context around the data. So we're effectively making it clearer to the viewer, eliminating uncertainty from the call, and speeding up the process as well. So that's the advantage that Hawkeye's Skeletrack data can have for viewers when it comes to officiating. But what about enhancing the rest of the broadcast experience? Well, Hawkeye's data can provide stats and metrics previously not possible to broadcasters, enabling them to overlay those stats on the broadcast and break down and analyze the game like never before. How about knowing the vertical on LeBron James's latest dunk? Or how about knowing the distance between Lionel Messi's last-minute free kick was to being blocked? Hawkeye can provide this data and much more to broadcasters in real time, allowing them to overlay the relevant data on replays, analysis packages, and even the live broadcast feed. So this is an example from Serie A in Italy, where we're overlaying names on top of players in an augmented reality. We're overlaying other metrics. You've got a top-down view of the field where you can see where each player is positioned. And we're seeing things like shot speed and other kind of metrics appear on the broadcast. On this one, you're going to see, as the goal goes in across the bottom, we're seeing how much of the goal was obscured by the goalkeeper. So we're able to actually quantify the difficulty of that shot and how good of a job the goalkeeper's doing, but also how big of a target the striker had to hit. And this is all metrics that were never before able to be measured, and this is all available at sub-second latency for the broadcasters to access. We also have things like jump heights and other metrics that just aren't available through traditional center of mass broadcast or tracking. So we've only just scratched the surface for what Skeletrack data can power, and we're extremely excited about the future ways that both our partners and us are able to provide sports fans a more engaging experience by bringing sport into the virtual space. Let me now pass to Nico to tell you about some of the ways that Beyond Sport are doing just that.
Great. Thank you, Sam. Mike, yeah, perfect. So at Beyond Sports, we take that Hawkeye tracking data that Sam was just talked about, and we use it to create a virtual 3D simulation of the match. And with us, it's more for entertainment purposes than for officiating. So the applications that we develop on top of these virtual simulations are built for live broadcast, and they range from virtual director tools to automated camera behaviors and alternative angles. So if you play this video, does my clicker work? Yes. So here we see an example of one of those virtual camera angles for hockey simulation we did together with the NHL. And going fully virtual, it allows us to create impossible camera angles like this, where we have an over-the-shoulder camera of the player. We see exactly in line of the shot. We can go infinite slow-mo to see how the puck is going just between the arm and the leg of the goalkeeper. And so creating the perfect impossible camera angle together with things like the slow motion really gives us new ways of visualizing compared to traditional broadcast. This, by the way, I think it was 100 times slow-mo, so we can do infinite there. So the way we do this, there's a bit of data processing behind it. A lot of our company is actually data processing instead of visualization, and this is all to build reliable visualizations. We need to make sure that the data is quality controlled. So since humans, we can easily tell if a human movement is natural or not. If it's just a bit off, it just looks weird. So we need to sort of create a system that can recognize when something is wrong in the data, when there's a flaw in the data, when it looks unnatural. And then once we know where those flaws are, we need a system that can actually fix those points. So here we have a couple of examples. This is the raw incoming tracking data. It's already really good, but you can see that the skates are going through the ice. For example, the stick is loose from your hands. It's also going through the ice. We see the same thing here, where the stick is not really in his hands. His hand is a little bit turned, and he's also going through the ice. And then after our machine learning algorithms do their jobs, we have the output on the right, which is the skates are fine, stick is fine, and we also add new data points like the fingers holding the stick, all to make it look more natural and more convincing to the viewers. Next one, yes. So to get a little bit more technical on how that actually works, is we have trained machine learning models to approach natural movement, basically. So this is, the entire back row is variations, flawed variations on the same input data. So on the far left, at the top row, you see the original movement. The entire back row is variations that are flawed. Some of them have missing data throughout the movement that you'll see there. Others, you can already see that there's definite flaws going on. And then the entire front row is that same input going through our system, going through our machine learning algorithms. And that's the output that our machine learning algorithms give you live. So if I play this, yes. You can see that even though at the back there's a lot of variations on data flaws, the front row is definitely, it might not always be the exact same movement as what the player is performing on the field, but at least you get a convincing movement that doesn't, take the viewer out of the experience. It was a couple of months ago where we did the Disney Big City Greens NHL Classic. I'm not sure if any of you saw it, but it was a fully live alternative broadcast from an NHL game. And it was all virtual. So from the beginning to end, there was no actual cameras. This was aimed at a younger generation that doesn't really watch hockey anymore on television. It just doesn't fit their expectations for what they like in content. So we figured out that if we change the content, we still have the same match, but we change the content to much better match their expectations. We could now get them interested in hockey again. And the way we did that was, together with Big City Greens, we had a match play out fully in the virtual world of Big City Greens, which is a kids show. I'm not sure if all of you know what Big City Greens is, but it's a big kids show on Disney Channel. And so these kids could actually watch their hockey game in the environment that is very familiar to them. It's the characters, the main characters that they all grew up with and love. And this was very successful. I think if you play this video, you can sort of see what it looks like. Yep. So this is what it looked like with the main character skating. Cricket has an assist in this clip. It was all very, very colorful, very fun. We add different effects, different elements, cartoony effects. We had storylines going throughout the broadcast that are not necessarily tied to the game, but made it more fun for these kids to watch. It was almost like they were watching an episode of Big City Greens, where in this case you had the zoo animals escaped from the local zoo, and they were all ringside as well. So that's sort of how we make the entire broadcast more interesting for kids. And it was very successful. We had more viewers than the actual ESPN broadcast, which was always good to see. But more interestingly, we had the median age drop from 28 to 14. So exactly the sort of demographic that we want to go for. And we have 58% female viewers, actually, which is for a sports broadcast quite impressive, quite interesting. Almost 1.3 billion impressions on social media, where a lot of the comments on social media was parents actually saying, "Oh, I always wanted to watch hockey with my kids, but I never, could make them actually pay attention to the game." And now, for the first time, a lot of these pictures came up where the parents were watching on a big screen and the kids were watching on a smaller screen. This is a very young kid, by the way, watching, but we had a lot of these examples where parents are saying, I think you see it here as well, where parents are saying, "Oh, finally, I can watch a game together with my kids." And that's how we sort of feed the new generation of sports fans. And with that, I'll hand it over to Nagama-san.
Thank you. Thank you, Nico. It's really exciting to see the kind of a spider-verse version of the tennis play and also the big city, the Disney case. It's really, I feel that like that will stimulate many creators to come up with a new contents based on the tracking data. So let's move on to my part. I want to talk about Sony and the Manchester City's the virtual fan engagement project. So unlike Sam and Nico talked about their products in the business side, this is the R&D initiative from long-term perspective to expand the field of the engagement in the virtual world. The purpose of this POC is to understand the user's behavior and the interactions in the virtual world for the next generation online fan engagement. So, and as Sam and Nico explained, we can realize the CG recreation of football matches using the players' motion data taken from the Hawkeye ScaleTrack technology. This is the 3D CG contents so that user can look at the super play from the various angles with the real-time rendering technology. So this experience is like a free viewpoint CG recreation highlight is the quite differentiating contents, but it's a little bit difficult to keep user engaged by just providing CG highlight contents. So I want to talk about the 3 key points for the journey to the virtual world on top of CG creation contents using tracking data. And this is the virtual stadium, the social, and the recurring engagement. I want to talk one by one. So first one is the virtual stadium. As you can look at the video, we have built virtual Etihad Stadium. This is the home stadium for Manchester City. We have built the quite realistic virtual stadium as a real one. But at the same time, we have built a virtual object, as you can look at the kind of a holographic statue of the players. And so this is kind of a digital twin. So we'd like to continue exploring the experiences that make users feel like they are standing in the front of the stadium, the feeling the excitement, atmosphere of excitement, and also even the feel like beyond reality. The second is the social. The social communication is a quite important topic to make a virtual world for users to come together with their friends, talking with each other, sharing their passions, hopefully they are making the new friends in the virtual world. So we are providing many variety of communication ways like text chat, the voice chat, also the emotes. I think it is easy for user to start with the non-verbal communication with using emotes with the unknown users. So we are providing many emotes, especially dedicated for the football fans and also the Manchester City fans, like goal celebration or any specific dance for the Manchester City fan, or even the kind of yellow card or any other emotes we have been building. And we also implementing what we call as the synchronized emote. As you can look at, the multiple user can make a high five with each other. This kind of experience might be fascinating for the users. The last but not least, recurring engagement. This is the most important aspect from the fan engagement perspective and also the monetization perspective. There are many ways to promote the motivation for user to come back again to the virtual world. This is the 3 examples I'm showing. The first one is a non-match day experiences. Actually, in the football matches, football matches will be held once or twice a week, meaning that most of the time we cannot provide the highlight contents. So we have to make a new experiences by, for example, kind of making new events in the virtual world, or new mini games for the virtual worlds that will keep the stickiness of the users. The second is again the socialization. As I mentioned earlier slide, the social communication with the other friend will become the motivation for user to come back again to the virtual world. Finally, the game mechanics like earning the virtual point and the daily mission will give users the new virtual point. Then using a virtual point, the user can purchase any digital item. I mean, we are providing digital store, the digital Manchester City store in front of the virtual stadium. They can purchase the digital item to express their the appearance of the avatars. And also the leaderboards for some competition like a mini game. That will drive the competition with the other users. These kind of game mechanics and the game methodology and the techniques taken from the game industry are quite important to make a new engagement for the users. We require the careful design of a game mechanics to keep the user engagement.